take it away.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Marie Presti. I am your Residential Real Estate Council New England Region's president. And I have a couple of our leadership team members here. I have Christine McClellan, who is our finance chair. Wave, Christine, yeah. And I have Greg Hanner, who is our membership chair. And I have a few other members online as well. And we have our guest speaker, who I'm going to introduce in just a minute. But I first wanted to share my screen and go over a couple of things. First, I want to say here is the rest of our leadership team. We have Michelle Hagstrom, our president-elect, Rachel Foy, our education chair, Nora Lynch, our immediate past president, and Corrine Geiger, our regional vice president, who is based in New Jersey. And then we also have network directors. We have Fran Rokiki and Yolanda Lowe from Connecticut. We have Vicki Kennedy from Maine, Sue Bishop from Vermont. We have Christina Silva and Caitlin DeCilio from Massachusetts, and Christina Silva is also New Hampshire. And then we're welcoming Joseph McCarthy from Rhode Island. Yay! So we have a great group, a great leadership team, and they've been busy the last couple of months working hard for you to organize events and classes for you. Oops, my slides are very, my slides were very, my mouse was very sensitive. So I wanted to let you know, we did send out our newsletter last night. So for Q1, I hope that you got a chance to open it up and a lot of this information is in there. But in case you didn't, I want you to know we started a strategic partnership program this year. And we have a lot of our partners have stepped up and have said we want to work with our RRC New England members throughout the year. So our platinum is Cutco and Cross Country Mortgage. Thank you for stepping up. For gold, we have Bay Equity Home Loans, Greater Boston Association of Realtors, Leader Bank, Dave Conti, Statera Law, Joe O'Sullivan, MLS PIN, Coast to Coast Closings, Skyburst Wealth Management, Paul Romano, Puro Clean with Jeremy Brigham, and Endless Energy with Tina Schuker. And then for silver, we have Best Chimney Services and Gaffney Law. So you'll be seeing a lot of these partners throughout the year at events and classes, and I hope you give them a warm welcome and chat with them because they are supporting you throughout the year. I also wanted to mention a couple of upcoming classes we have. We have 7 things successful agents do differently, a proven business system. We have Kim Knapp. We were able to grab her and bring her up to Massachusetts, and we have her doing 2 days of classes. The first day is in Massachusetts at the Greater Boston Association of Realtors in their Reading training office, and it is co-sponsored by GBAR. So any RRC member or GBAR member gets to pay the member price. And that'll be on March 28th from 9 to 5. And then the day after, creating listing abundance, and that's going to be at the Rhode Island Association of Realtors. So Rhode Island Realtors are supporting us there. And that one is approved for 8 Rhode Island CE credits. So please sign up and join because these are credits for you that you'll get for renewing your Rhode Island license. Also, we just organized a new networking event, and this one is in New Hampshire, and it's called Axe Throwing. Matt, I bet you are wanting to come up for that one, right? We have
a bunch of realtors and sharp objects. I'm not sure.
So it's on April 4th. It's from 5 to 7, the official networking part of it, but they're going to have karaoke there until 9 p.m. So if you like axe throwing, come on up. If you like karaoke, come on up. And if you don't like either, just come and network with everyone who'll be there. We'll have some pizza, drinks, axes, karaoke. What more could you want? So registration will be coming out this week for that. It's free for any RRC member. And for non-members, it's $30. So feel free to bring a friend, someone who might be thinking of joining or someone who's not and just wants to have a good time. And that's in Nashua, New Hampshire. Also, I wanted to show you here, we had Celebration. And I know Greg was just asking me because he wasn't able to make it. How was Celebration? Well, Celebration was awesome. we had 27 New England members attend celebration, and that was awesome. And you can see the middle picture. We did have a little get together for an hour before the welcome reception, and that is those who could come. Not everyone was able to attend that little before welcome reception. And then in the lower right hand corner, you can see Richard Waystack. He is our past RRC president. I grabbed a picture with him. And in the upper left hand corner is Tricia Nakota, and she is our national RRC president. So we nabbed a picture with her as well. So great time, great programming. And it was great to see everyone, but we also I felt like I got a ton of learning coming back. I have so many notes to go through and to implement. And I feel like if I can implement even one of them, it was worth the entire trip. All right. This is our New England calendar. So you can see the two upcoming classes that I just talked about in the networking event on April 4th. But to give you some other things to think about, we have May 16th in Connecticut. Systems will set you free, Greater Hartford Association of Realtors. And we have our guest speaker on, who's actually Matthew Rathbun, and he will be teaching that one, as well as the day after on May 17th. In New Hampshire, he's going to be teaching a 0 to 60 home sales a year. And that's in Salem, New Hampshire. And the 16th class is co-sponsored with Greater Hartford Association of Realtors. And the May 17th is being sponsored by CMG Home Loans. In May, we're hoping to have a May networking event. So that's still tentative. Stay tuned for that. In June, we'll be having our mid-year luncheon. We're also hoping to have a Cape and Islands networking event. We had a great boat trip last year. We're hoping to do something similar this year. And in July, we'll be doing a Central Mass networking event, and that one is going to be targeted for the Realtor Relief fundraiser. August 6th is booked, so make note of that. Put that in your calendars. We have the RRC New England Mastermind Boot Camp in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We'll stay tuned for more information on that and registration for that. That's a great event. We did that last year as well. We'll be doing a lot of activities for CRS week in September. We're hoping also to have a main class in September and an October class in Vermont. And then we have, and this is the tentative date of November 5th, for our RRC New England Night Out, and that's at National Association of Realtors. For those of you who don't know, NAR is being held in Boston this year, so it's in our own region. So please make a note to come to NAR, and if you do come to the RRC meetings as well, and you'll get to go to the Night Out. And then December, we'll have our holiday luncheon and installation event. So that's our upcoming events and classes. And hopefully you can, stop and pause what I just went over and put them in your calendar. All right, at this point, I'm here to introduce Matthew Rathbun. And am I pronouncing that right, Matt?
Yep.
Is it
Great.
Rathbun?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
good. So Matthew is a CRS instructor. He has been around for a while. He is the executive vice president of a firm overseeing over 300 agents serving in Virginia, Maryland, and DC. He is the recipient of numerous national, state, and local realtor awards. I've listed a few of them down there so you could see them. He's very humble, so he didn't really want me to list them, but I had to because he's really wonderful and has been educating agents across the country for many years. We are really lucky to have him not only in our CRS instructor family, but as a CRS realtor member. And we're lucky, extra lucky to have him here today with us. So I'm going to introduce him now and have him take it away. And he'll be sharing a bunch of points about some of the things that he has up his sleeve. And he's high in technology, so we're really excited. So I'll stop my screen there and you can share.
All right. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for that. And thank you for having me here. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I do want to just take a quick minute, just an anecdote. The last time NAR was in Boston, I had a great time. It was a great meeting. I was Ubering from my hotel over to the conference center that had this massive R Realtor symbol on the side of the building. And, I'm chatting up the Uber driver and he goes, yeah, I'm a real estate agent. He goes, I'm with XYZ, national company or whatever. He goes, where are you going to? I'm like, the NAR conference. He goes, "What's NAR and what kind of conference do they have?" As we're pulling up, and I pointed up to the sign, he goes, "Oh yeah, I think I've heard of them. I've only been doing this for 4 or 5 years." So we have a little work to do. We have a little work to do as an association, getting the word out to our members about what they do. But my topic, I was asked to speak for a little bit today about just kind of some highlights, and I took a small segment out of one of the modules that we'll be talking about. I find it's important, and it's just a quick review. I again, I'm a broker. I'm also listing and selling. I have a small team. We still do some business because I think I got to road test the stuff I'm teaching in class. Bit of a troublemaker. I like challenging the status quo and a couple stories to follow. And each one of us has this unique role that there is no other business like real estate. And when you woke up this morning, you were the chief executive officer and the chief marketing officer and the chief everything officer. And then some of you have stepped up to be volunteers in your organization. And the job that your RC leadership does, I mean, just managing me is almost a full-time job. The emails, the texts, the stopping in the hall at conferences to get this stuff put together is a lot of work. And so some people take on even more, but we have this vessel in us and this ability to handle things. And for a lot of us, that vessel has some major issues in it. We have our relationship with our partners, and we have our relationship with our children. And now, I'm a very young grandfather. At 48 years old, my daughter and her husband got married. A year later, like, "Hey, we're having a kid," and I'm like, "Hey, can you guys like make a living first?" But my wife and I didn't. We were poor and we had kids too, so it works out. So now I'm a grandfather, and that you know looks around to make sure none of my kids are here. Sometimes being a grandfather is a lot cooler than being a dad, especially when they hit those teenage years and you're wondering, why did we do this? But three kids out of the house, they're still calling for help every day or every other day. Those are my big boulders. Those are important things in my life: my faith, my family, what do I do? And then there's something that is a little less important in my life. And quite frankly, it is my career. The goals, the awards, the trophies, the stuff that we're given and we accumulate over our careers, the successes we have, the paychecks we get are important, but they're not less important. And so I look at that and went, man, those big rocks, when those were full, I felt that container was absolutely, there's nothing else I could put in there. And then somehow we find room for these pebbles, the less important, the tertiary even things. And then there's the sand. We find even more room to do things, getting the kids off to school each morning, making their lunches, helping them with their homework, or asking Google to help them with their homework. Whatever it is, these less important things keep filling up. And there are some days where you wake up and you are full. Like today, I woke up, I'm an inbox zero guy, which means I went to bed last night. There was not a single email in my inbox, and everything in my action items were done. And I'm like, I've got to do 3 webinars today. I got hours in between where I can get some stuff done. And then what happens? Everybody else's crisis hits. And we find this compression in these jars. And often it's because we didn't do the things we needed to do, give us breathing room to focus on the things that were most important, and we fill it up with sand. How many of you wake up in the morning, refreshed and ready to go, and then the buyer calls up and says, "I lost my job and get me out of this contract"? And get what becomes your day? Your whole day is sand, the stuff that is just filling up that vessel and push everything else aside. Now, I was 35 years old, walking up the back steps of the Realtor Association, and I clicked a little too fast there. So let me back up here. Let me slow my roll. Walking up the back steps of the Realtor Association. Now, my career before real estate was as a medic. I was an EMS medic, and I knew the signs of a heart attack. And for 2 days, I hadn't felt well. And I did what everybody who's having a heart attack does. It's indigestion. It's something else. And I'm walking up the back steps and realize I can't make up the back steps. And so I go in, I finally get to the steps. It took every effort in me. I teach my 3-hour segment because that's what warriors do, right? We signed up, we said we'd be there, we showed up. Did what I had to do. And when I left, I went over to a doctor's office and I volunteered. This was a nonprofit doctor, and I volunteer on this team. And so I let myself in the back door. I go up to the front and I asked the doctor, I'm like, "I think I need to run an EKG." He looks at me and he looks at the EKG and he puts me in an ambulance, and off to the hospital we go. And um And the doctor's like, hey, you are not doing well. You've got some problems. And so they did their treatments and things. And luckily it wasn't severe and it wasn't something inherited. It was high blood pressure, stress, just not living well. And so I get the stuff scared out of me. And so we're going to do some things differently. And part of that, what we did differently, I'm just going to touch on today and then make it a more practical thing. And that was I organized my life. I got tired of the chaos that this industry brings and decided there's some things in my life that are more important because when I was hurt, when I was sick, I was thinking about how it would impact my wife and my children. I did not care at all about the trophies, the certificates, or that buyer or seller that I was working on. They were important when I'm healthy and can do that. They're not important when I think maybe I won't be alive tomorrow. And I'm not one that's I don't get wrapped up in scare and things like that. So this was a fairly impactful thing for me. And then I started doing a little reading and studying about how to organize and being more productive and remembering that productivity and what we're talking about here for agents isn't about making room to do more work. It's making more room to do the things that those boulders represent, to be a good partner, to pursue your spouse. My wife and I have been married for 31 years now. And, especially young people will ask, with a divorce rate of like 50%, it's going down a little bit, thank goodness, but it's like 50%. How did you stay married? I'm like, well, there's three things. One was constantly pursuing her, constantly. It to we are constantly going on dates. We're constantly hanging out. She's my best friend in the world. Pursuing her. Number two, separate bank accounts. I can't stress this enough. She gets access to every bank account. I have no idea what's any other bank account. I know where the password is, but we just do our own for our recreational stuff. The household is shared and we have our own allowances. And then lastly, is we had something in common. We had to have something. In our case, it was our faith that really walked us through this because honestly, after 5 years of marriage, we got married at 18. At the fifth year, I'm like, I'm not sure we're going to do this. And then I remember a saying from Zig Ziglar, it's cheaper to keep her. No, he didn't say that. Right? Zig Ziglar gets quoted with everything. Marriage is grand, divorce is 100 grand, whatever. Um, no, it was our faith that really dragged us through that and healed a lot of those things. And then we just carried on. And now we have three beautiful daughters who are grown up and out of school and doing their own thing and a grandson. But it was remembering from that day forward that when that phone rang, if I picked it up, my children knew that phone call was more important than whatever I was doing with them at the moment. And it was remembering the number of, again, I've been in this industry for 21 years. I came in younger than most. This is a more mature industry. And so I've attended more than a few funerals for agents and people who have helped me along the way or I knew or worked with. And I never wanted anybody to give a eulogy at my funeral that says he was a high producing agent or he's a high functioning broker, he was a good instructor. I want them to talk about what I did for my family and my community. When I put that in perspective, it made everything else a lot easier to start to build from because the career was to support all those things. Thomas Edison's quote here, being busy does not always mean real work. The object of all work is production or accomplishment, and to either of these ends, there must be forethought, system, planning, intelligence, and honest purpose, as well as perspiration. Seeming to do is not doing. We talk a lot in this industry about the longevity of agents and 5 years and out as the average. And I think there's two reasons. Having mentored and coached agents for 19 of my 21 years, what I see agents failing in is managing their own finances and managing their own life. They feel like they have no control because they've allowed everyone else to control their lives. And there's some very practical concepts that we can implement to fix this. One is you're not a multitasker. Everybody who ever says they are has denied all science that we have to the contrary. A matter of fact, if you were driving a car and talking on the phone, you were giving only 35% of your attention to driving the car. How many of you have started a phone conversation and wound up at home like, how did I get here? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put it in a different perspective. How many had just two at the bar and then wound up in your own bed and you don't know how you got there? It's the same thing. Your mind was just going on autopilot. We talk about multitasking all the time, but have you ever talked to somebody who's shopping in the store and you're on the phone with them and you get a lot of uh-huh, yeah, and they're like paying no attention to you in the world. And I don't want to talk to somebody on the phone when they're busy doing something else. So, for example, the very first practice I'm going to say here is manage who you let talk to you and when. So let's say that Corrine and I are working on a transaction together, and she is the buyer agent, and she did a home inspection this morning, and I'm driving to my next appointment. And as I'm driving, I see the phone ring and it's her phone number. I know what she's calling about. She's calling for a postmortem on the home inspection, but I'm driving. There's nothing I can do about what she's getting ready to tell me, what's wrong with the house or what the repairs are or what allowance they want for, negotiating all that stuff. I'm not prepared for it. And picking up the phone means I'm going to have a 45-minute conversation or 30-minute conversation with her. And then what? Can you go ahead and send that over to me in an email so I can review it later? And all I've done is doubled the work because I could have just said, there's nothing I can do about this now driving my truck. She's going to go to voicemail. We'll deal with that later. Now, there are conversations that can be had while you're driving. I'm not saying that there isn't, but if I know that they're material, if I know there's something I still need to see and review, because I can't focus 100% on her, she's not getting the best me, and I've just doubled all of our effort. Does that make sense? Now, there's a great book called Getting Things Done by a man named David Allen, and it's the premise of all, it seemingly is the premise of most, if not all, productivity tools today and practices today. So I do want to talk about getting our day started right as agents. So you wake up in the morning and you've got your task list, and hopefully you have a digital task list using Things or Todoist or whatever app you use. But we're going to capture all the things we have to do today. Now, here's what I find for a lot of agents I've worked with and coached over the years is the typical day. Well, I have a conversation with an agent, like, how does your morning start out? Well, I get up and then I make sure the kids have lunch and then I, iron my clothes and I get them off in the bus or I go drop them off at school. And then I go sit down in front of my computer to see what emails have come in. Well, now it's 10 o'clock in the day. And now you're piling up even more stuff that needs to be done. And there was no self-care involved there. There was no working out. There was no mindfulness or prayer time. There was just you jumping into the routine. And then you get the email and there's a couple of phone calls. And then, well, you gotta get your hair done at 1, or you have to get to the golf course at 1 to play a couple of rounds with the guys. And then by 4 or 5 o'clock, you're like, okay, I need to go make dinner and have dinner with the family. And at 6 or 7 is when you're sitting down to go, all right, the home inspection agenda's done. Let me give this a look. And let me go with the clients and let me schedule time and let me review with them. And then there's the 3 phone calls and it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And by the way, our best work is done within the first 6 hours of getting out of bed. And so by the end of the evening, we have no creativity or tolerance left for things. And it's amazing to me that we do this rush crazy, 12, 13-hour days. And on a Thursday, we sit down to write this. We're going to write the most brilliant and creative listing description ever at 11 o'clock at night after 2 glasses of wine. And it goes, dear buyer, see photos, enter. We've just lost our creativity. Or maybe this is just me. In the morning, I'm like, God bless you. You're so good, sweet. We're going to get through this. Bless your heart. That same person, the same problem they presented to me at 9 o'clock at night, you son of a, it's a totally different mindset because we have burned through our creativity. Creativity is what allows us to be nice to stupid people, right? We're short fused in the evening or especially later in the week. What if we started a day differently? I'm going to get up a little earlier than everybody else. I'm going to do some mindfulness or some meditation, or I'm going to work out for a bit. I'm going to get my cup of coffee so that I don't kill anybody. And then I'm going to sit down and look at what I've got to do today. I still need that round of golf because that's networking. Hopefully, you're not playing a round of golf with a bunch of other agents. That doesn't make you any money. I'm going to have I have a lunch appointment with a client. I have coffee with so-and-so. And then around that, I also need to get this addendum drafted. I need to get this listing stuff. I need to schedule this photos. I need to do all these things. So we're going to capture all the things we have to do. And then we're going to clarify what needs to be done to get there. And then we're going to organize the things and to make sure that we cover everything and they're in the right order, reflect on this plan we've created, and then start doing the plan. So this takes all about 5 minutes each morning. If it takes less than 2 minutes to do the task, just do it. If it's simply if I have to just forward an addendum to somebody, forward the addendum, save the email, and be done with it. Don't even bother putting on the list. It took you longer to put on the list. So do all the 2-minute things as quickly as possible. And then create some type of environment, system. Mise en place, I know, plus, I think is how you say it. It's a French phrase. I don't know. I'm not French. I'm just doing the best I can. This system is about having things in the right place. How many of you are cooks? Anybody do any cooking around the house? How many get more than a little irritated when you go to grab something and it's not where you thought it was because the kids put stuff away at last time, or the partner or spouse put stuff away and it wasn't where you thought it was going to be? and it breaks your concentration and the pattern. And you budgeted just enough time to get this meal put together and have all the right things out there. This is the same way with how your life needs to be at work. So don't raise your hand, but some of you have every document you've ever downloaded in your life on your desktop. And on your desktop computer, it's just a whole bunch of PDFs and photos and graphics and folders. And you know where everything is, so you think, but you have to click through 20 things because they weren't labeled correctly to get there. And this has an impact on our mental health. That digital version or the in-person version is when you walk into your office and it's stacks of papers and contracts and documents, but you know where everything is, including that transaction you closed 6 years ago, still sitting in the same stack and next on that shelf in the wall. Our physical environment has a tremendous impact on us. Going to bed at night, my desk here is all set up in my studio. When I leave my office, my desk is also set up in my studio so that when I get back, there's no barrier to finding the things I need to. Documents should be digitized so you can search for them and find them more easily. These small things build 30% more active time in our day. We spend on average 30% of our workday looking for things because we didn't properly put them in the right place. Now, how many of you yell at your kids about keeping their rooms clean and putting things back where they found them all day long? And then we go look at your desktop where everything you've ever downloaded is there and there's stacks of forms and papers and contracts all around you. It's the same thing. And there's a couple of disciplines that we can put in our life, making sure that we are holding ourselves accountable. In this business, you are the chief executive officer, overseeing the chief marketing officer, chief financial, and operations. You're all those people, and you need to hold yourself accountable as if you were the boss of you. Paperless is going to reduce traction, friction in your business. Being focused on the thing you're doing at the time to the alienation of everything else is going to reduce mistakes and gives you a better product or work. If I'm going to write a listing description, I've got nice, work-like music in the room. I've got the focus there. Everything else is turned off. All the little red dots are off. I don't need to check every text and email and Instagram share and everything else that they do. I'm focusing on doing that task well, so I don't have to do it twice and it takes less time to do it. And then I'm going to stop chasing little red dots. Little red dots are those indicators that something is getting your attention. The email, there's email pending, there's text messages pending, there's again, chat pending on social media. Turn all those things off and then budget time to go look at them. I don't need to respond every time like a rat in a maze with cheese. Every time a little red light comes on, it says an email, I got to go check it, or a text message comes on. I can't speak to Android users, but the iPhone users, I've put my daughters and my wife and my best friend and my brother on favorites, and they're the only alerts I get. Everybody else is, I'll go look at the app when I have time to look at it and respond to those things. We've become responsive to other people's whims, and it's not good for our productivity or our mental health. Our clients will get to them as long as we have an organized structure. We'll get to them. We get to them, and to make sure we demand more of others. Every vendor I'm going to recommend my client allows the client to pay whatever services it online. So in other words, if I'm going to recommend a home inspector, he's not there waiting for a check like some of them are. The client, we're going to order it online in a portal, because I do that at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I don't want to have to get on the phone with the secretary and get on the books. I'm going to order it online in the portal, and I'm going to send a link to my clients from that portal where they can pay for it. That reduces the workload I have, but gets the same job done, and far less time than me trying to manage payment and bring a checkbook and all this other stuff, and then calling 16 times to check everybody's schedule. And we'll talk about some more tools for that. Make sure you have the right partners with you. Your loan officer is analog and slow and doesn't get things done and only likes to do real paper. They're slowing you down from you living a better life because they're putting demands on your business life that takes up more time. And then lastly, be realistic with yourself. Where do I start and how do I get these things done and what's very important? Delegate what you can, whether it's virtual assistants or someone in the office to help you out or hiring Fiverr to do your marketing, whatever it is, delegate to other people and manage your time. And then own your calendar. Time blocking is a big thing for me. It really helped me. So this is a really quick glimpse of my typical everyday in Google Calendars. I've got time for working out every third, and I hate working out, guys. I hate it with a passion. If I don't do it first, I won't do it at all because I'll find every other excuse. And then I have meditation in the alternate weekends, and I got fishing scheduled throughout the fishing season, and hunting throughout the hunting season, camping throughout the camping season, because it's in on the calendar. The best thing I ever did for my personal life is and it sounds bad, but I put my kids on the calendar. Wednesdays and Friday nights were play nights with them. And if you call and said, "Can we do an appointment on Friday night?" I'd have to say, "I'm sorry, I'm already booked." The other person does not need to know what you're booked with. Now, there were times where there was urgency and I'd have to move my kids' appointment to something else, or my kids, their show or their cotillion or ballet or martial arts, whatever it was, had their big event, and I had to move that to a different night, and that opened up a night for clients. But everything was on a schedule. And using tools like Calendly, where you leave openings in your calendar, you can see there's some white space there, and then there's a couple green spaces that are just open for appointments. Those are the spaces that are reflected on Calendly. So when Michelle says, "Can I meet with you?" I can send her the one link. She can find a time that's open for her and put it on the calendar. Calendly then sends an email to you and I confirming the appointment. It adds it to our calendars, and all the work's done. Doodle is another example of a practical tool that I use. So Doodle allows you to take multiple people, open up multiple schedules, and then have everybody vote on when they're available. Think about this for home inspections. And so let's say that I've got a contract, I've got a 7-day home inspection period. I've opened up on my calendar 3 or 4 4-hour blocks for this home inspection. And so I'm going to send this link to the home inspector, to the listing agent, and to my buyer and say, here are the openings I have. Everybody gets to vote on what they have open, and then I pick the date when the most people are available, and then it sends it and puts it on everybody's calendar automatically, including reminders the day before and a reminder an hour beforehand, and it's free. It's fantastic. And that saves me from having to make 5 phone calls to the buyers going, okay, when do you want to do the home inspection? Okay, the seller's out of the house. Okay, is the home inspector available? I'm going to let them all self-maintain and vote on those dates. And then there's the second brain theory. And I know I'm going through this quickly. I expand on these topics in the classes that I'm teaching. I hope you will attend those classes because we do a lot more practical. I go through this more slowly. But I feel passionate about these topics, about the tools we should be using to make a better life for us. Let the robots do the robots. And oh my goodness, all the AI stuff coming out is going to take so much off our plates if we just take a little while to learn how to use the systems appropriately. The second brain concept is from a gentleman named Tiago Forte, who wrote a book about it. And it's built off David Allen's thesis that our brains were not designed to remember things. Our brains were designed to be creative and have humanity. Now, I'm adding the humanity part. He just talks about the creativity part. I think whether it's AI or any tool we use, what I bring that's unique to me as an real estate agent is that I'm people focused and I want to bring the humanity and marry it with the technology. And then I want to be creative or problem solving and reducing other things. If I am trying to remember everything about a transaction as opposed to having a quick reference, that is less brain power that can be put in actually creating problem solving issues and handling other problems and giving time for people to be heard and to speak. So the second brain theory is about process or whatever your process is to save the information we have to know, because we have to know so much stuff, guys. So many rules and regs and references and what qualifies as a bedroom, and Fannie Mae and Freddie's changing it all the time. And how do I keep track of that stuff? Having whatever note-taking system. I used to be a big Evernote fan. They got bought out by a company called Bending Spoons, who in my opinion hasn't done a very good job. So after 12 years of being an Evernote coach and user and subscriber and pay, I dumped that. And about that time, Apple came out with this fantastic Apple Notes is an amazing tool that they came out with and replaced it for me. But there's other tools, Notion.so, Obsidian, a whole bunch. Find a note-taking tool that you can organize to keep the stuff you need to know in place. And I'm going to just show you real quickly how I'm using this even for my client notes and templates. So again, whatever note-taking system, there's a plethora of them. Find the one that works best for you. Still think Evernote is okay if you want some basic stuff and a couple hiccups while they're learning. They just introduced AI to it, and I hear mixed reviews on that. Apple Notes if you're an Apple user. Whatever the second brain system is, it's got to be something that syncs between your phone and your desktop and your iPad or mobile device. Because when I create something, I want it to be everywhere. So for example, I have, for every listing that I have a listing response email. So if Marie emails me, go, hey, I'm thinking, I'm really interested in this home. What can you tell me about this property? Well, let me just start real quickly by saying that consumer, that buyer already found out what the price is, where it's located, the school system. They got all that from Zillow, realtorhomes.com. They're asking you for more. And so I've got an email that I can just copy and paste so that I don't have a barrier to responding to them. It's fluid. That barrier is very quick. Thanks for your message about 123 Main Street. I love this listing. It's a great house for you. You may not have all noted all the features, and I put the 3 highlights in here. I'd love to get you to see the house. My calendar is here so you can set up a time for showing, which, by the way, is my buying assistant because I don't show properties because buyers start to smell bad after a little while. I don't do dual agency, so I have a buyer agent for that. And then I got a link here to the community that you can go get information. And then I got a link here to the single listing website that has more information than Zillow, Realtor, and Homes.com. And so I can easily copy and paste this into every inquiry, text or email. Now, what it takes me to is thinking ahead. I've taken and put this on the single listing website. Now that single listing website I have intentionally designed, and I'm using a product called Paradigm, Paradym. But you could use something as simple as Canva websites. You may not know this, but Canva has websites, 5 if you're using the free service, and unlimited websites if you're using the paid service, and they have real estate templates. It's amazing. And so I have a single listing website that has everything that consumer needs. I've got all the photos, the virtual tour, the visual tour. Those are 2 different things. The video tour illustrating the house so they can see it online. Now, I have 2 videos. I have the short 1-minute promotional, and I have another video of me literally just walking through and narrating all the cool stuff of the house as if I was escorting the buyer. Because I don't want to go show property to somebody who doesn't want to see it. Does that make sense? Why not do the video, record your walkthrough, send them the video? I don't make it public. It's only there if they ask me for it. And if they watch the video and go, yeah, we still need to get into that house, then I'm more confident in their desire to purchase than I was when all they saw was a couple photos. Does that make sense to everybody? So if they watch the walkthrough, they see the highlights, and they still want to go see it, there's a high likelihood of an offer coming in. I'm not wasting my time. Community information. What can I share with them about the life around us, about the community guide? I have the demographic, everything from RPR, the Realtor Property Resource, about that area, about the people there. I have a list of service providers. I have a map I created. You can see there's 10,513 views. You can go to mymaps.google.com. I have a webinar. I mean, I have a tutorial on my website. And I chose my favorite restaurants, parks, entertainment, historical sites, and all the rest, so that when somebody says, what is there to do around the house? I've got a quick reference for this. I have blog posts about the community, the libraries, the parks, the dog parks, hiking trails. And then of course I have the sign up. I want them to self-service. I want them to sign up for my newsletter and go straight to my CRM, and it triggers the email campaign for conversion purposes, so that I'm not manually doing this after every client. And then, excuse me, I have the home book. And the home book is not just your typical home book that has a bunch of photos in it. It's a Canva template, by the way, that's saved. So I can embed the video in it. I've got the photos and some descriptions. I got lots of smart home stuff, the community information from RPR, restaurants in the area, what I need to see in the offer that comes in, everything that they need to know about that area, including the Google Maps and all the rest to get them there. And then whatever providers or partners I have. And all of this stems from having that saved as an inquiry template that I can share. Now, also in that notes, and by the way, if you go to MatthewRathbun.com under resources, put my link in here. And go into resources. There's an ebook there that you all can have that has all my email templates in here for clients, at least the ones as of the last time I updated the book. So when I go to client emails, that listing inquiry is there, but also an email to send to the seller before we meet for the first time, an email to send to the seller when we're getting ready to send over the home inspection results, outlining what they can do and how, the email to the buyer before our buyer consultation, a response to the listing inquiries. What happens after ratification, I can just copy and paste to the sellers after they've received the email. I send these things out for every client. Why not save a template that requires slight modification, so in the future it's easy to copy and paste in there? Now, in addition to the email templates, and I know I'm gonna wrap up here pretty soon because I don't have so much time, I'm also using tools that are well known. So Trello.com is to help me again with a second brain system so I don't have to remember everything. Some of your CRMs may do this. I just like this system. So I have a couple templates here. So pre-listing, I have a checklist here. And again, I have videos on how to use these things on my website, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here. But I've got all the things that need to be done once they've signed the listing agreement and before it goes active in MLS. And so making sure that I stay on track means I don't have a brain that has to think through all this stuff. My checklist is automated. And I can assign things if I have a team. I can leave notes for myself as to when and what I did, move it to different process stages. If it's completed, if it doesn't apply, move it over here. Again, Trello being a free tool to create these templates over and over again, even to a template for managing home inspection items. So if I get a home inspection, I can list all the repair items here and again, open up as to when they're due, what notes have to be done, checklists within the lists. This stuff takes very little time and very little expertise to set up. And I share it with my sellers because I don't manage their homes. I'm not a contractor or subcontractor. They need to manage their own repairs, but I want to make sure they're on time and we're talking the same language and same deadlines. And so I can put them all in there. Um, Client intake pages. So having a page that is set up for buyers, not just to promote the community and promote myself. Yes, those are important parts, but I can easily send a link to answer most questions about the community. I have links there about my favorite vendors, information about buying. The home buyer consultation guide is there and a call to action to fill out the form. The form goes straight into my CRM, so I don't have to do it, and puts them on an automated process, and sends them emails, and then I can follow up with them, but it's all already set up and automated. So I don't have to do it over and over again. And about this time is when everybody's like, when do you have time to do all this? Guys, you're doing it now. You're sending emails out to every new buyer. You're sending emails out before closing. You're doing all that stuff, but you're creating it from scratch each time, as opposed to just saving one of those and spending a Saturday building a better response of all things you wish you'd remembered to say to copy and paste the next time. And then one last little trick to show you about some automation. And again, I go into a lot more detail, a lot more information in our classes, but I want to show you another neat trick that I found that works for me in creating marketing content and automating it. I'm going to go to Canva. And in Canva, I'm going to create a Instagram post, which is going to be square. And I want to create a series of posts. So I'm going to add.
So Matt, we're not seeing your screen right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right. So hopefully everybody's familiar somewhat with Canva. So I won't go back through the
You got
steps.
it.
Yeah, thank you. I just went to create new an Instagram post. And I'm going to go and just add a house here, any old house. We'll just add this graphic here. Obviously AI created. All right. And I'm going to add a little film over it. So we're going to create a little bit of a graphic to help us with do some promotion, maybe some pre-listing promotion or something. And I'm going to add my brand stuff, just add my logo to the bottom of it. And then we're going to pretend to add a or pretend to add a web address for our single listing web page, blah.com. All right. So I'm going to just set up this little bit of a template here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and add that'll work. And I'm going to add a place for quotes to go into this model here. All right, so I've got a nice little template here. I'm going to go look for this tool called bulk upload, or bulk create rather. And it's going to walk me through what's called a wizard. It's going to take me through the steps, and it's going to ask me to upload stuff. Now I've got a spreadsheet here of quotes that I have added to the spreadsheet from my seller. I asked my seller to write 10 things about what they loved about their home and living there. All right. And now I'm going to go click on the placeholder I have that says heading now, and go to the ellipses and go to connect data. And again, I've got a tutorial for this on my website. So I'm going a little quickly here. And now you can see it's got the little squiggly lines that tell me that's a placeholder. And it gets asked me here, is that what you want to do? Yes, I want to hit create. Here are my 10 quotes. Do you want them all to go? Yes, I do. And then I hit that. And then all of a sudden I've got now those 10 quotes. I have 10 unique social media assets with all the quotes they have. But wait, there's more. Now I might have to dress them up. You know what? These could have been bigger. This back is probably the wrong color, but I'm doing this for training, so I might have to tweak a little bit of it. And I can go from there to share. And this only works if you're on the paid version, but I can go from share to share on a social calendar, and it's going to ask me to schedule these posts out. And I can say, send one a day at 2:30 in the afternoon for the next 10 days, or one every other day for the next 10 days, or whatever it is. And instead of having to remember to post and do all that work, I got all the content. I'm just going to send it over now. That makes sense, everybody? All right. Do I have time for one more thing,
Not
Michelle?
where you're actually over by
Okay,
about
that's
20
fine.
minutes. So.
Oh,
But
okay.
you know what? I don't want you to, because you're going to go over all of this in the class, right?
I am. Yeah. And a lot more. Yep.
And a lot more, and a lot more. Exactly. I mean, I'm like blown away by all the tips you gave us in a quick, meet the masters section here, that I can't imagine everything I'm going to learn, or we're going to learn in a whole day class of this. So I want to thank you, Matthew, so much. I had taken the systems class with another instructor, but that particular instructor was not super technical. So I'm really excited to take it with you, because I think you're bringing that class to the 2024 century here, and giving it a facelift. And I'm really excited to take it in Connecticut. So that was a taste of that. Does anyone have any questions for Matt while we're here? I know we ran over, but I don't know if anyone had specific questions for him.
No, the only thing I'll toss out is definitely register for the Hartford, Connecticut class, because that class is bound to be sold out in full, virtual or live. I'm doing live.
I'm doing live if
So.
I can. I did have one question, Matt. Have you tried out Motion at all? Motion
I'm sorry.
calendar, Motion, MOT, Motion, like.
Yeah. I have glimpsed at it, but I haven't used it enough to form a strong opinion either way.
It's in my bucket when I have time. So thank you.
And I'll tell you, I have a question, but you don't have to answer it now, is for those of us who don't have a Xero inbox, can you give us tips at the class as to how to zero it out to get started that way? Because I have, I think, over 10,000 emails that some have read, some haven't. And how do we get started with Xero again to get moving? So that might be something you might want to help us in the class with.
Yeah, we do
I don't
talk
know
about
if I'm
techniques.
the only one. Yeah.
In the class, we definitely talk about how to start. Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time and your energy. And I can tell that your class is going to be super energetic as well. And it's going to be hard for us to keep up with you, but we're going to try real hard. And we're looking forward to seeing you then. And again, he's going to be in Connecticut. And I think Greg put it in the chat already, but that's on May 16th. And then he's going to be in New Hampshire, in Salem, New Hampshire on May 17th, teaching a 0 to 60 home sales a year. So I'm sure there might be a little bit of overlap, but I see them as kind of separate classes. And I mean, we may get some people wanting to take both, Matt, and we may get some who just can only take one. So hopefully, I'm looking forward to seeing you, and very excited for that. So
yeah, and what we'll do is we'll put in the replay links in the posts on Facebook and YouTube. We'll put the links to the classes for registration.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. So, All right, everybody, we'll see you next month. And hopefully see you at one of the classes and maybe at the axe throwing next month in New Hampshire. So take care, everyone.
Thank
And
you.
I'll stay
Thanks,
on.
Matt.
Bye, everybody.
Christine and
right.
I can stay on in case there are any other questions regarding RRC New England. So.